the King. Welcome to Believer Central Prophecy Update. I'm Lisa Dennis Sparks, and you're watching Christians United Broadcasting Network. CUBN, where we want to see you be encouraged in Jesus' name. Okay, guys, are you ready to have another time of study? Let's get into it and learn some cool stuff. Now, first, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how do we know for sure that we are the prophetic generation. Okay, because every prophetic sign has shown up in every previous generation. So have you ever wondered what makes our generation different from all the generations that came before us? And we are different, okay? There are in previous generations, all the signs have showed up, like I said, but they didn't come in a specific order. Also, they were missing the two super signs, which they didn't know that they needed to have. The first super sign is that you have to have an existing nation of Israel among the nations. The second is that you must have technology that is advanced to a point where it can accommodate the mark of the beast and the tracking of every single human being on the planet and the tracking of every single transaction of every human being on the planet. Now, we have both the nation of Israel and the technology that is necessary for the end time prophecies to come to pass. We have all the signs, and even if you have all the signs, it still doesn't matter unless they come in a very specific order. Okay? That's what makes prophecy so compelling. And that's why prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. Nobody but him can tell us thousands of years ahead of time what is coming and in what order with the extremely precise detail that he does. He doesn't just prophesy events, he prophesies the outcome of these events as well. So nobody can do that except for Jesus. And when you have 100% accurate prophecy over thousands of years, which I can personally show 3,500 years of accuracy, and I'm sure it's accurate all the way back, and I've never found an issue that I couldn't reconcile in the scriptures. Not yet, I haven't, and I don't expect to after all this time. Any kind of appeared type of contradiction can be reconciled if you're using the KJV. Okay. Anyway, have you ever thought, well, people have been saying all my life that Jesus is coming, and he's never come. Why would they say that all my life and then it never happened? Well, the timeline is 7,000 years long, okay? And the time for the Lord's return is down at the 6,000 year mark, because the final 1,000 years is his millennium, and he's here in person, in the flesh, to rule and sit on the throne here for that 1,000 years. The time for the Lord to return is at the end of 6,000 years, and then he reigns on the throne for the 7th 1,000 years. And now, in past generations, he could have come at any point, true, but he's long-suffering, he's patient. It's not surprising at all that he's waiting until the end. And the reason you've heard the warnings all your life is because the prophetic generation started in 1948, when Israel was born as a nation. And we're looking at it to go 80 years. It could go a little bit longer, but I don't think it will. We'll just have to see. Okay, we know it's not 70 years because it's been 71 years now. So, and we still have a 7-year tribulation period to fit in there. So it's at least 80 years. Okay. And unless you're unless you're older than 80 years old, you have heard the warnings all your life because you just happened to be born in that parentheses in time, that 80 years between when Israel became a nation and when he returns. So being born in that specific parentheses in time means that the prophetic warnings have been going out since 1948, and they've been going out all your life, and they'll continue to go out. The warnings will continue to be sounded until he arrives. But the generation is 80 years long at least. Might even be just a little bit longer. But that's why you've been hearing it, that Jesus is coming all your life, and he's never come. He will. He will. But that generation is at least 80 years long. So that's why you're going to hear these things all your life. But the prophecies are coming to pass exactly as they are written. And that's why you hear the warnings intensify and stuff like that, because the prophecies are coming to pass. The seals have begun to open back in 2013. And so since then, you've had the beginning of sorrows. And these things are going to culminate all the way up to a really terrible war where nuclear weapons are used and billions of people die. And then after that, you'll have a whole different situation in the world where things aren't like they are now. You'll have a breakdown of society as we know it. And with billions of people having died and the damage inflicted, it's kind of a post-apocalyptic thing where they're saying, wow, we dodged a bullet, peace and safety. Now we can have peace. We survived this, and now there will be peace. Well, when they say peace and safety, sudden destruction. Okay? These things will come as a thief in the night to those who aren't watching. But if you're watching, you can see the clues. You can see the signs that point toward fulfillment. As you see an alliance between Iran and Turkey and Russia, there's your northern armies, along with all those little bands of radical Muslims with them. And after the apocalypse, if you will, pre-trib, where you have nuclear weapons having gone off in different places, after that happens, then the people will, there's nothing like death, war, and destruction and bloodshed to cause people to think, peace, please, peace, peace, peace. Everybody just get along. And that will be kind of how it is. There'll be a whole sense of, wow, we survived this. We dodged a bullet. Now we're going to be okay. No. Then the worst part comes during the 7-year tribulation period. And it's bad for Israel at that point. Very bad for Israel. But does anybody have any questions where the prophetic generation is concerned? We do know, because of the 2 super signs, that we are the prophetic generation, and because the prophecies are happening in the order they're supposed to. And that is the testimony of Jesus, is when prophecy is fulfilled exactly as it was given to us. Okay? Only Jesus can do that. So that's how we know. Hi, everybody. Oh, hi, everybody. Are we good? Hi, Lisette. How you doing? Okay. Hi, Crystal, Sarah, and Kenny. Glory to God. Okay. I don't. Let me go over here to YouTube and make sure. Hi, everybody on YouTube. Hi, Shirley. Okay. Let's go ahead and get into something else now. Now, if the prophetic generation is very specific, and I can give you some more information on that. Let's go through Matthew 24, and we have a few minutes. Let's start at verse 1. Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. This happened when the Romans set fire to the temple. The gold inlay on the inside melted and went down between the rocks, and so they pulled every stone apart going after that gold that had melted and fallen down in there. In verse 3, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, see, that's fulfilled prophecy. That's already happened. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. Now, this verse 5, that's equivalent to the first seal. Okay? In verse 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. This is pre-trib stuff. The seals are opening before the tribulation starts. The tribulation period is 7 years of wrath, and we are not appointed to wrath. Therefore, the seals have to open while we're still here. Those are accelerators. And then the wrath would start with the trumpet judgments after we are evacuated. But he says, all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So in the second seal, this horseman takes peace from the earth, which he's doing and has done. Only 10, 11 countries, and it's been a while since I looked, maybe fewer than that now, are at peace out of 196. All the rest of those are involved in some kind of civil war, revolution, uprising, war, skirmish, or whatever. But peace has been taken from those nations. But the end is not yet. Now remember, that second seal, as he progresses, he's given a great sword. I think that is nuclear. Okay? And then the effects of that great sword will be seen by the fourth seal, which is also open now. That includes pestilence, famine, war, abuse, neglect, bad water, and it says that a lot of them they die from death. Okay? I think that is what happens when these seven thunders, which could be these nukes, could be, I don't know, but it's a possibility. That's a great sword, okay? And billions would die if there were 7 nuclear bombs that went off around the world. It would just be horrible, depending on where they are, depending on where they go off. Anyway, he says here, In verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. The word is ethnos. It's a lot of a racial violence and racial hatred and races rising up against other races. Now, what this whole war is going to be about is Muslims and Jews. And the globalists hope that they will destroy each other. That's what they hope for, anyway. One thing we do know, a peace treaty becomes possible in this post-apocalyptic scenario where you have the tribulation period, and the devil is ruling the world. He's set up 10 kings. Let me keep going. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. If you know the description of the seals, you know that this is calling out the seals. These are the beginning of sorrows. Okay? Now, in verse 8, it says, all these are the beginning of sorrows. Now, the beginning of sorrows is an actual time period. Okay? Which is about 7 years or so. They started opening in 2013. The trip has to start by 2021 or 2022, some 2021 to wrap up by 2028. And we'll see if it happens that way. In verse 9, then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. The Jewish people have had to endure the whole world hating them for thousands of years and attempting to wipe them out. And they're facing the situation that they are facing right now because Sarah didn't believe God and went around the faith of God to give her handmaid to her husband to produce a child for her, which didn't work out very well for her. And it's also produced a race of people through Ishmael who want to kill the people of God. And they want nothing less than the Jews exterminated. If the Jews today handed them the land, all of it, and said, here, the land of Israel is yours, they would still want to kill every Jewish man, woman, and child. They would not be content. Even if they were given the entire land, they still would want to kill the Jews. So you have this anti-Semitism. That's the spirit of Gog. And that's what motivates that Gog-Magog war. But when you find when that is over, radical Islam is no more. There are no more radical Muslims who want to destroy the Jews. They aren't as wicked as the ones who are going to be left to hate Israel. And that is the agreement with hell. Okay? It's not the Muslims they have to worry about. It's the Western leaders. Hi, Joan. Oh, I was glad to see you. It's the Western leaders that they have to worry about. Because the globalists, they are the disinherited tribe of Dan. Jewish. They're Jews, like the Rothschilds. Okay? They're Jews, and they believe that they have the right to run the world. And that's what they believe. What they want is for the Muslims to destroy the 12 legitimate tribes so they can then inherit as the only remaining Jewish tribe. I mean, if all the legit tribes are destroyed, then the one illegit tribe would be the heir. And that's what they seek. It's always about the money. Always about the money. Okay. Everybody doing all right? let me see. Come over here to Facebook. Hi, Linda, Gary, Janine. Hi, Janine. I love you. Hi, Tina. Let's see. I need to click on this, don't I? To open this thing up. Okay. Hi, Tina. Okay, Tina says, are we going through the tribulation, Lisa? No. Well, let me put it this way. Those who have been called in John to follow the King now will go. But when he arrives, he calls all the rest. There's a portion who believes before seeing, and then a portion that believes after seeing. And I think from the beginning he has written it to be the way it is and divided us into two groups. So, you know, there's a group that's called prior that is ready to go, and then there's a group who is called once he gets here, and they will stand to their deaths avoiding the mark of the beast. And they will be here the first half. And they will die refusing the mark when you get closer to the midpoint. But it's going to be very, very difficult for them even through the first half, because the mark of the beast is going to be absolutely necessary from the get-go of the first half of the tribulation period. Not only have you got, you know, probably a couple billion people dead, but you've also got some that have vanished. All the children are gone. And all those who claim faith in Christ are gone. Okay? So any wealth that's left behind, it's going to be a fraud field day. It's just going to be a field day. As those who are left here scramble to gather the wealth of those who who have left their wealth behind. Okay? And so they'll probably just freeze everything, and you will have to take the mark to positively identify yourself. But the thing is, David Spangler, he's head of planetary something with the UN. He said that nobody is going to enter the New World Order without a Luciferian initiation. You have to deny Christ to take the mark. And that's something that we'll never do. Now, I know there's a lot of people taking chips in their hand, okay? But more importantly, I know that there are those in many different places around the world who are being marked. Well, let's put it this way. They're being chipped against their will, okay? The mark is not something you can be given against your will, okay? So that chip put into those people by force can be removed. I mean, they'll dig it right out of their hand, all right? Those who are the tears, they won't want to remove it. But if you're marked by force, you can dig it out. You know, have it cut out and get rid of it. But that comes with its risks as well, because these same ones who are being marked against their will are held captive. They are captives through human trafficking or whatever. And if they cut out their chip, they have to run for their lives. And some may not make it. Just know that if you've been chipped against your will, that is not the mark of the beast. So the worst that can happen, if you don't cut it out, and you believe that Jesus is God in a flesh body, which confirms you are a child of God, once if you still have the chip in your hand when these things come to pass, it'll be real easy for them to murder you by remote control if you refuse the mark. So if you can get rid of that chip, get rid of it. Even if you have to cut your hand off to get rid of it, get rid of it. You do not want to be trackable by satellite, okay? Keep in mind, the word B, E-A-S-T, beast, biological encoding and satellite tracking. You don't want to take anything in the back of your hand or in your forehead. Nothing. Not a chip, not a tattoo, not an electronic tattoo, nothing on the back of your hand or on your forehead. And interestingly enough, the technology, the Verichip technology, I've been following that ever since it evolved initially through Applied Digital Solutions as the Digital Angel. Okay, it they make a lot of big claims, but you don't have to think that they will, you know, put cyanide or any other kind of poison inside the little chip thing. Okay, that's like the size of a grain of rice. That's not cost effective, for one. They boast being able to send an electric charge to your heart and restart your heart if you have a heart attack. If you have a heart attack and your heart stops, they can restart your heart remotely with an electrical signal. But if you think about that real hard, if they can restart your heart that has stopped, they can also stop your healthy heart with the same type of electrical charge. If your heart's just beating healthy and fine, and they send an electrical charge through your body, that can stop your heart. So they don't need poison or anything like that in the capsule. It doesn't need to be that complicated. Okay? And no, Tina, I don't think that we are going to go through the tribulation period. The tribulation period is wrath. And well, the trumpets haven't started yet, Diane. Those are the first trumpet is fire that covers most of the earth. We're not there yet. We'll be back right after this. Don't go away.